Richard? Oh, wow.
I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable.
Remember when he said he wouldn't talk about it unless he's paid a lot of money for it? Well, it looks like someone might have finally given him a pretty hefty check, because word on the street is that Chris Rock will finally be talking about the literal show-stopping moment from last year's Academy Awards, even after Will Smith apologized. Yep, it seems that even after Will Smith apologized, Chris might not have totally closed that chapter of their lives. Question now is, how's Will taking this? And what did Chris say exactly? Let's find out. They say it was the slap that echoed across the 7 continents, and in reality, that's exactly how it felt the moment Chris Rock was smacked by Will Smith after the comedian made a joke. Now, it's almost a year after and the pair are still in the news for that very same subject. Only difference on the table is that the stakes are much higher now and Chris is out with his own plans. You see, ever since the joke was made at the awards show and the resulting effect from Smith happened, Chris Rock has been pretty silent about the whole issue. I mean, maybe a little jab here and there with little jokes about it, but the comedian has never actually taken an interview or even spoken about it in detail on stage. So it's safe to say that no one is really sure about how the whole experience must have affected him. Well, that was until his camp's most recent announcement. That's right, he could have done a lot of things, even chosen to sue Smith. He instead stayed mum, turning the slap into material for his first tour in 5 years. Rock is now taking that material to a much broader audience courtesy of Netflix, which is airing Rock's newest set live from the Hippodrome Theater in Baltimore this coming Saturday, March 4th, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a big deal for both Rock and Netflix. Netflix, which began experimenting with an ad-supported tier in November and began cracking down on shared password use earlier this month, has a lot riding on the evening, given it will be the first live streaming event in its 25-year history. As reported by TC's Lauren Forrestal, Netflix confirmed in May of last year that it would roll out a live streaming capability that centers on unscripted content, competition shows, reality reunion specials, live comedy shows, and a future Netflix is a joke festival. Little surprise that in addition to Rock, the streaming giant also just announced live pre- and post shows to bookend his performance. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the plan is to kick off the evening with live commentary from Rock's comedian friends, including Amy Schumer and Jerry Seinfeld. Later in the evening, Rock's fellow SNL alums David Spade and Dana Carvey will MC a post-show, the show after the show, with guests that include actor and comedian J.B. Smoove and basketball great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. A new Variety report may also assuage Rock fans who don't want to miss the special. It notes that Netflix will enable members to rewind and pause, as well as watch the show live. If a subscriber joins late, he or she can also opt to play from the beginning, and if there isn't time to watch it all, the title will remain under the Continue Watching row. Though the live aspect of the show was agreed upon back in September, Selective Outrage represents the second of 2 comedy specials that Rock committed to create for Netflix in a $40 million deal back in 2016. As for Rock, a 4-time Emmy Award winner, the show seems likely to cement his status as one of the most beloved comics of his era, not that audiences needed another reason, seemingly. Indeed, though Rock's tour was announced almost exactly 1 month before the Academy Awards show last year, ticket sales shot through the roof in the aftermath of the slap, as did their price, as did the number of shows Rock performed. Days after the show, this editor paid a small fortune to see Rock perform in San Francisco on a date that was added after the tour was announced. During that SF performance, Rock spent less than 5 minutes of his roughly 90-minute set on what happened with Smith. Though the audience was thrilled to hear it, they seemed just as enthralled with Rock's other material, some of which touched on what his parents endured as young Black Americans in the early 60s, along with Rock's hilarious observations about raising 2 very privileged daughters as someone who, to this day, Rock said of himself, still identifies as poor. However, the main thing that has directed many of those people besides his comedic genius is that they probably already have views about the ordeal from the Oscars. To some people, Rock deserved what he got, and in the case of one user, it should happen again. They wrote, "Controversial take, but I think Will Smith should slap Chris Rock again this year." But to many other people, some of whom are Will Smith fans, the actor might have gone a little overboard with his reaction. As in the case of this user who wrote, "I always loved Will Smith, but violence is never the answer. He should have spoke to Chris Rock privately and gave the smack. I can't unsee what I saw." But in reality, you can't really know who's right unless you fully understand what actually went down. Chris Rock and Will Smith had an altercation during the 2022 Oscar telecast. Rock appeared on stage to present the Oscar for a documentary feature and made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith being in G.I. Jane because of her shaved head. Smith then took the stage to slap Rock. Although it appeared to be a joke at first, Smith returned to his seat and yelled at Rock, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." Many in the Oscars audience appeared stunned at the altercation. Diddy was the next presenter during the ceremony, where he appeared to introduce the 50th anniversary celebration to The Godfather. Diddy addressed the situation by saying, "Will and Chris, we're going to solve this like family. Right now, we're moving on with love. Everybody make some noise."
I thought it was very important to bring love into the room, you know what I'm saying? I think we know both of those guys' characters, and, you know, sometimes happens. So we just needed to keep it moving in love. And
Smith's publicist Meredith O'Sullivan came by him at the commercial break to have a discussion. Also during the break, Denzel Washington got up to speak to Smith privately. Smith revealed during his Best Actor speech that Washington said to him, "At your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." Sullivan continued to visit Smith during each commercial break following the incident. Oscars producer Will Packer also visited Smith before the Best Actor category was announced. Smith was nominated for his performance in King Richard and won the Oscar later in the ceremony. Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family, Smith said during his speech. He later apologized to the Academy and his fellow nominees for his actions. Pinkett Smith announced last year she shaved her head after struggling with alopecia. The actor said in an Instagram post, "Now at this point, I can only laugh. Y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia. Just all of a sudden, one day it just showed up like that. Now, this is going to be a little bit more difficult for me to hide. So, I thought I'd just share it so y'all not asking any questions. Mom is gonna have to take it down to the scalp so nobody thinks she got brain surgery or something. Me and this alopecia are going to be friends." Period. Rock ended up awarding the documentary Oscar to Questlove for Summer of Soul. Asked in the Oscars press room about Smith smacking Rock, Questlove said, "I'm not talking about that. This is about the Harlem Cultural Festival." While Smith has faced the music for his actions in the form of a decade-long ban from attending the ceremony, the actor has apologized a couple of times, one of which came when he posted a video apologizing to Chris, everyone present at the awards show, and his family for his actions. And even though things may not be totally settled yet, it has not stopped the actor from joking about the whole thing. In a video posted Monday to the social media app, Smith seemed to make a joke about the controversy he stirred at the 2022 ceremony. Smith's TikTok video, which has over 1.5 million views as of Tuesday, sees the actor listening with intrigue to TikTok user at Miss Moneyworking in another video explaining that inanimate objects can tell you what they think of you. Smith, with a quizzical look, then picks up his Best Actor Oscar trophy from off-camera and gives it a concerning look. No doubt, it was funny to most people, but some still had mixed feelings about making it into a joke. But then, we still have to remember that Chris Rock is a comedian, and more than anything, his decision to talk about this now will probably come in the form of a joke. Speaking of Rock, whether he plans to expand on the Oscars-related part of the show or not, only his camp will know until Saturday. But if the prospect of addressing that shocking smack in the face drives viewership, all the better for Netflix and the public. Now, we'll just have to wait for things to unfold. That's it for this video. Goodbye.